All right, everybody, welcome back. Welcome back. Where did we go? Um, welcome to another episode in the client interview series. Super excited today. We got Anthony. Anthony's been killing it for a long time. Anthony's been in the online space for quite a few years now. So super excited for this one. Just us two today, no flip. Um,
Damn it, Flip.
but I am definitely looking forward to this one, picking Anthony's brain, seeing what he's doing, right? He's as I mentioned in the post, literally the king of consistency has been showing up and like putting in the reps in his online business, all while having a crazy like work life, planning a wedding, all sorts of
Oh yeah.
stuff still showing up in his business. So instead of me giving Anthony the introduction while he's here, I'll just let him talk a little bit about himself, you know, his backstory, stuff like that.
Oh sure. Thank you, Nate. It's a pleasure to be with you guys. I know we're live in several different groups today, but basically, my backstory is that, as Nate mentioned, I have a very hectic work schedule. I work as a senior property accountant in Manhattan, New York. So I'm doing that dreaded commute that I keep talking about in my content. 2 hours in, 2 hours out by train. Actually, I take two trains. One's a LIRR and a subway for those of you that are familiar with the New York area. And coming up to my busy season, which will stretch from January through May, um, it's going to be pretty rough. I've been through it a couple of times before, and I definitely feel that I have a better plan going into it, which will involve doing a lot more repurposing of my content, which that's what Group Juice is all about. And I've been really hitting my stride. There was a drought since last year when I hit some high ticket commissions, and coming into this year, I definitely hit my stride again to get like a nice shot in the arm. But yeah, I've been in the online space since last year, and it's been really rewarding. It's an up and down roller coaster ride for sure.
Yep, highs and lows. That's for sure.
Definitely.
So I know your story a little bit, but maybe let's shed light a little bit on like what you were doing like prior, right? Like
Hmm.
what other online. I know you've been big on the organic Facebook space for a while,
Yeah,
um,
definitely.
but like
Uh,
what were some of the things that really started to kind of click for you when it comes to you know having success and like moving your business forward?
well, before I discovered the organic space, not to mention or drop any other affiliate product names that didn't work for me, but somebody actually mentioned it to me that what ugly frog did I kiss before finding Group Juice and the Cool Accelerator. And I told them that yeah, there was an affiliate program that I joined last year. That was back in April, coming like towards the end of my busy season, just to get the courses, and they really hammered on, oh, you got to go solo ads. You have to do Facebook ads to get traffic, and they really did not go over the organic side, which that's what I do now. July 31st is my official switch from doing paid ads to the organic strategies of affiliate marketing using social media, because I didn't have any success doing the paid ad route from actively marketing in, through May and July. I was spending, I think, in excess of $1,000 in that 3 month time frame, getting 600 leads, but I didn't really know how to connect with them. I didn't have a relationship with them. So I think the what attributes to the early part of my success was actually, you know, nurturing and finding a relationship with the leads that I was generating on social media. So that was once I kind of hit upon that, that's when it started to click and make sense for me.
So I have a question for those that are watching live with us. Do you guys know what solo ads are? Because I don't even know if they're like popular anymore. Um, but
I
they
still
were
get
definitely.
people to cold message me in the DM saying, "Hey, I'm a solo ad provider. I can guarantee you the best tier one traffic." And for those of you that don't know, tier one is just users and traffic in the United States.
Yep.
So it's like it's a never-ending like cycle that they can guarantee you, good traffic, but how the hell do you know that there's not any bot or spam emails? You just don't know. It's a gamble.
Yeah. So for those of you that don't know, this was really popular in. Obviously, it's still a thing, but it's like it's funny that Anthony mentioned that because I remember I can't tell you how much money I spent on solo ads. I thought I was going to win the ClickFunnels dream car with solo ads. But basically, what they are is where you pay somebody with an email list, and they send an email with your offer. Like say Anthony paid me to send an email to my list promoting his product, right? Um, so I've seen some success. Not like me personally. I've seen some people have success with it, but at the same time, it's
Hmm.
like how many offers are getting blasted to that email list, right? Like every other email is buy someone else's product. You get a lot of ghosts. At least like what Anthony implied too is like I think I got a lot of ghost subscribers on my email list. Like
Hmm.
yeah, you could get a huge email list, but they don't know you, and like if you're leveraging something like that, the nurturing process has to be absolutely massive, right? Like they're not just going to buy high ticket product right out of the gate um, based on the recommendation of somebody else in the email.
Hmm. Yeah, I feel like it could be. I mean, like you said, there are people that have been very successful doing it, back in the, early 2000s or maybe even 2000, teen time period. I mean, look at Jacob. He won the ClickFunnels dream car, but he saw the market where it was heading, and that's where we're at now with the organic affiliate marketing. But I feel like the people that have that success in doing generating traffic through solo ads, they're probably pushing a lot of like low key products. I feel like it's very difficult to do when you're pushing high ticket offers.
Yeah, and that's I think the one thing is like that there's a difference between the buyer's process, right? Like people would be like buying lower ticket products and they're kind of just looking for information, whereas people um, buy higher ticket products to usually solve some type of problem. Right? We talk about this quite a bit
Hmm.
in like some of our products where it's like prioritize building relationships and stuff like that. Um, So where did you kind of start diving into the organic space, right? I know you're in SAA with Jacob Karras. I know
Hmm.
you were doing like TSC and stuff like that. Um, what did your process look like on with organic content in contrast to kind of how you're doing it now? Like what has kind of changed?
Yeah, definitely. When I began TSC, which that was like the saving grace for my business at that point in time, because at that point, my whatever funds that I had in my business was dwindling down and was close to zero. I was this close, this close to actually closing up shop and saying that this is, not for me. Am I getting anywhere with this? And then somebody within the organic community, her name is Lauren Kalura. For those of you that don't know her, she's also was in TSE, SAA, has now done over 50,000 in sales online. She was opening the doors for me as far as to say that there is actually a better way to do this based on the struggles that I was having. She knew my pain points and she knew how to grab me well. But I feel like the structure or my daily method of operation back then when I first started organic marketing is very different to today. Not to say that they don't work, because they still do. But as far as if I wanted to save time, which is key for me, right? Because I have a very hectic job and a exhausting commute. When I first started in the organic space, what I was doing was trying to add 20, 30, 40 people as friends. I would be lucky enough if I were to get 5 to 10% of the people to even accept my friend requests after I kind of look at their profile and see, could they be the right fit for whatever offers that I had. and then maybe like another 10% who actually respond to any cold outreach messages that I would send to them. And then I would spend the 20 to 30 minutes on my Facebook news feed to give thoughtful comments, to give it a heart, in the hopes that people will do the same for me in order to boost my content that I was putting on my timeline. Nowadays, I really don't post too much on my timeline anymore. I kind of reserve it for any client wins or my wins, or if there's something like really happening in my personal life. As you alluded to, Nate, next month I'll be getting married. Exactly 30 days from today, I'm getting married on December 30th. So I feel like my content is kind of switching up as far as like more lifestyle in that respect to get the more followers to build that up on TikTok. And so that was like what my process was back then. Do you want me to tell them now what has changed and what I do now daily?
Yeah, definitely. And if anybody watching has any questions, you don't hesitate to drop them and ask Anthony. Right, like you guys want to pick his brain, like what's working, what hasn't worked. You know,
Yeah,
drop them
definitely.
in the comments and let us know if you guys have any questions. But yeah, definitely shed light on right, like the difference in your processes primarily because I know, right, like I totally get what you're saying where I was doing the priming your Facebook feeds, adding a
Hmm.
bunch of friends, uh, and then you see all the comments on posts. Great content, great post. It's like you didn't even read this thing, right? Like,
Or the emoji 100%.
yeah,
Yeah, definitely. I mean, some people, they have been successful in doing it. And I feel like my success truly was the relationships that I built. That ugly frog that I mentioned earlier in the interview, that was one of my first affiliate programs that I jumped into. We had a small mastermind chat in Facebook where we kind of, all collectively said that we're struggling to get where we want to be. So, and actually, the most recent high ticket sale that I made earlier this week was somebody from that mastermind class or that mastermind group that was started last year. So I kept in touch with him over the months. But what really has helped me was to actually save time because, like I said, priming the feed, commenting on people's posts, plus doing my own content, which I still do my own content, that takes a lot of time in my day, anywhere between like 2 to 3 hours. Now, the way I do it is I find pockets, and I actually did a reel about this. I found pockets within my day, whether I'm like traveling on the train or walking from the train to the office, where I just shoot, a bunch of like little small videos about any aha moments or a topic I want to discuss. And to be honest, I actually get a lot of inspiration from the coaching calls that you and Flip give us every Tuesday within the Group Juice group and any other community that I belong to. But usually I'll try to do hammer out a video in the morning for lunch break. I always have to walk around the building. I can't just sit at a desk at the office the whole time. I have to get up and walk around. So I try to get a little exercise and I shoot a video. And I've actually had people that commented that they like to see like those like skyscraper buildings in New York City for those people that had never visited Manhattan. So I do a couple of those videos, and if I feel up to it, then I shoot another one at night after I come home and have dinner with my fiance. But on the train commute going in, I mean, if I'm not sleeping, depending on if I feel 100% or not, I'll try to catch up on messages, writing copy that will either be my group post or just writing the script for next video that I'm going to be doing. And I feel like I've gained my confidence in doing videos because I used to have to do, take two, take three, take four, because I really did not like the way I was presenting myself. But as far as like the confidence level, once I discovered like there are certain apps that I'm sure you guys probably know or don't know that they have a teleprompter on it. So if I'm able to write a script and have a teleprompter where I can actually see the camera as I'm reading it. It doesn't look like I'm looking this way or that way at a script. It makes it more natural. So that's where I feel like my confidence level is right now in doing videos.
I think that's really cool that you mentioned that too. Like you're finding all these little pockets in your day while you're working your full time job
Mm-hmm.
to either a batch create content or kind of create your short form videos on the fly. I couldn't even imagine like a 4 hour commute. That's absolutely wild, but apparently that's normal in New York, right?
Mm-hmm. And what's normal is that the LIRR, they have switch delays. So they canceled one of my trains. So I had to wait another 10 or 20 minutes for the next train to pull out. But you have a lot of people. I mean, you talk about, the wintertime, bacteria gets everywhere when there's like a whole crowd of people. I mean, it's like shoulder to shoulder people. The hustle and bustle, trying to cram into these train cars because the prior train schedule was canceled. So yeah, the Manhattan's back to normal as far as that.
Okay. So I know you kind of mentioned it, like, so a lot of what you're doing now is like more of attraction marketing, right? Kind of like
Hmm.
short form video content, kind of letting your clients come to you. Um, you know, what are I guess so what are some ways that you found the best way to grow like your group, right? Because I know I know, but you alluded at like how you've kind of
Hmm.
stopped posting as much on your profile, which I know for a lot of like organic Facebook marketers, that's a very big pillar to their business is like leverage their profile. How have you kind of, I guess, eliminated that in a sense and prioritized building your own community? And what are some things that you've done to make it enticing for people to join your group?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely leveraging my content more, leaning on my content to do all the heavy lifting for me, and hammering the Facebook Reels. The Reels is what gets a lot of eyeballs on me and for anybody that actually, posts Reels consistently every day. And by not just staying in Facebook as one traffic source, you can find other traffic sources on other social media platforms like TikTok, Instagram, and there's also YouTube and Pinterest, which I haven't really dived into yet. But those are other traffic sources. So I feel like the catalyst for getting a lot of people inside of my group that I launched back in the beginning of April was definitely through the content that I was putting out there on several different social media platforms.
Yeah, and I think the cool part to think about too is for those of you that don't know, like it's 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 almost like a bit of a paradox, right? The more that you put in your group and the more stuff that you have in your group, the easier it is to grow, because you guys can just go out and start talking about what you did in your community, right? Like
Hmm.
if you guys look closely, I'll probably do it after we wrap up this live. I'll go create a Facebook post talking about the interview I just did with Anthony, right?
Hmm.
And then it's going to cause intrigue. It's going to cause like fear of missing out because they want to come see what's going on inside of my world. And at its core, that's really what Flip and myself and a lot of our students are leveraging, right? Creating this buzz and curiosity about what's going on in your communities, and then inside the groups is where you can kind of give away the secret sauce, shed light on the processes you're using in your business, and build those relationships. As Anthony mentioned, right? Like the sale he just made last week, the high ticket sale he just made was with somebody that he's had a pre existing relationship with, right? They've
Hmm.
been in each other's world for quite a while. Um, it's funny because I actually did a live this morning kind of breaking down uh, that lesson, or a lesson, I guess, in a sense, would be even if somebody's not ready to jump into your thing right now, it doesn't mean they won't be in the future, right? I don't imagine
Yeah,
Anthony was talking to him a year ago like, I just want this dude to buy my stuff. It was more of like, hey, we're just in this community, we're talking, we're engaging with each other.
right.
Um,
Yeah, I think I mean, we talked about his hobby with shooting and guns. Even though I don't go, to the shooting ranges at all, But I was always very intrigued. I was a big fan of the James Bond series, so we had a nice long conversation about the Walther PPK. But it's like nurturing those relationships, just kind of like seeing like where they are. I know that he also had a lot of client deadlines and commitments that he also had to maintain, which I get because I get that, you know, I have that anxiety or that, time crunch every day to deal with clients and their deadlines. And, I think the biggest lesson is that because somebody's not ready to commit to you today, they'll say no. Doesn't mean that they'll never become your client in the future.
Yep.
I've had sales where it took me a month to close or a few months after talking with them the first time around. One of them was a conversation that stemmed from TikTok that eventually I moved them over into Facebook and inside of my group. And then he continued to consume more of my videos and trainings that I put up there. And then we continued to have that open conversation, even though he was promoting something else at the time, which is totally fine. But I kept in contact with him and asked him what he needed. And that's what really intrigued him to hop in.
Let's see. Keisha asked the question, where do we buy the merchandise? I need a hoodie. Tyler actually bought it for us, or Tyler made it for us. We are looking at potentially putting together some merch coming into the new year.
That would be awesome.
Would be cool. See everybody with little group juice shirts and stuff like that. Or I think it would be cool to have like a QR code on there, but that would be kind of hard to do with like getting everybody's affiliate link on there.
That means you can't wash it because then it'll be broken.
Yeah, exactly. um, so I'm curious, I know you mentioned it in the core chat the other day, but what are you doing as far as like business wise and like moving into the pivot in kind of your content, right?
Mm-hmm.
With coming into the wedding, with coming into your busy season, right? I mainly ask this because I know a lot of people get really hung up on like, hey, I don't have enough time to do this. I don't have enough time to build my business. So I want your opinion on what what you have been doing and what you plan on doing. Like, obviously, I'm not going to say you have to go like work on your wedding day because that's crazy. But what
I'll
are some
probably
things
use a few photos for content purposes. Any
yeah.
shenanigans that my soon-to-be wife will let me do, or that she won't know of.
Um, but yeah, so what are some things that you're kind of preparing for or that you have used in the past, right? Because being an accountant, I imagine there's like certain times of the year that are absolutely insane for work. So
Hmm.
what are big things that have really helped you maintain the consistency in your business while having an extremely busy work and personal life, right?
Yeah, so basically Sunday, I try to make it my batch day. Usually we have my in-laws come over for dinner, and the good part about being an Italian, you get to eat an early dinner, not at 7 or 8 o'clock, but we try to eat at 5 o'clock. So I have some time at night to sit down and do some batch creating if I'm diligent in that respect. But basically, planning is very key to planning. It's almost like a diet. If you want to know if you want to stay under your points, under your calories, I did Weight Watchers years ago. And the key was actually planning. If you want to go over your calories or your points for the day, you have to plan, you know, in advance. Okay, I'm going to eat this, I'm going to eat that, I'm going to have this snack or whatever. But the key is definitely planning. And I've actually used different apps on my phone, apps like CapCut, which is a free app, Captions, which is has a 3-day trial, I believe, still, but is also a paid app. I use it mostly to house videos and to
Right.
have a script, the teleprompter. Because what's actually pretty cool about the Captions app is that the script that you actually write or say, you can actually download it as a transcript and use it and repurpose it for a post on your in your group or on your timeline if you wanted to. So that's actually a pretty cool feature. But as far as like pivoting, I mentioned in the core group last week that I feel like my content has pivoted to a different arena. when I first started doing video content and even my posts on my timeline, I always talked about leaving your 9 to 5 job. You know, your first milestone is hitting that 10K month or that 10K figure.
Right.
And plus, it was hard for me to talk about it because I have not achieved anything like that yet. So I feel that in order for me to be more resonating with my audience is to talk about things that I have actually have done. I have made several high ticket sales while still maintaining a 9 to 5 job. Some days it's 8:30 to 8 job or whatever, but because I still do work stuff at night, unfortunately, until like 11 or 12 o'clock in the morning. But the point that I'm trying to make is that I had to change my methods and the way I do things in my business in order for me to survive because the way that I was going was not efficient enough. I was taking time away from my fiance, and I had to, draw like a line in the sand that this is what I'm going to be doing, and this is how I'm going, and this is how I'm going to go about it. So instead of saying that, quit your 9 to 5 job now to make high ticket sales, but this is how you make high ticket sales while having a 9 to 5 job. And like I said, finding pockets in your day to actually make some videos, make some content that your audience will resonate with, and drop some value here and there. Throw some lifestyle posts. Me and my family like to drag race, as you probably have seen in my content. So a lot of times, if I'm at the racetrack, I'll try to cut some promos or some content over there. So I'm sure there's people in the audience that love cars or love racing.
Mm.
So I try to put that in there. I've included my dog. I adopted a dog on July 4th. Actually, one of my other high ticket sales was from somebody that we bonded over dogs. I just told her that I adopted a dog, and that's how that conversation sparked. She must have seen something in my content area, and eventually she mentioned that she was in the same affiliate program that I started with last year. So I think the caveat to that was I know what was coming down the line. I know the problems and the pain points that she will be facing. And I told her this is how you not hit that brick wall. You can still promote it, which is fine, but I'm just telling you from personal experience, if you want to save money, this is the route that I would advise you to go.
Right.
So definitely pivoting as far as like what my content is. I'm also adding kind of like a journey in my last 30 days of being an engaged man to becoming a married man. So I'm kind of testing that out and seeing what followers I get from TikTok that, kind of like want to see. And I try to make it like a two-way conversation. The latest video that I did was like, what's the most stressful thing 30 days leading up to your wedding? Somebody mentioned that don't get sick because they were like, besides like, being at the wedding, they were in bed most of the time that week. And I replied with a video on TikTok to say that's actually a very good point because I was actually thinking about this. That's how you establish a relationship with your audience.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think you bring up a really important point for those of you guys that didn't pick it up is like the content, we talk about this a lot, but like the content doesn't have to be super sterile. And what I mean by that is like it doesn't have to just be all business. It doesn't have to be like
Mm-hmm.
you know, the latest and greatest way to make $100,000 online. And like the really fascinating, the part that fascinates me the most about this whole online business is like we as online business owners can literally create content about what's going on in our life and build relationships, and it can turn into cash, right? And this can like literally be something as simple as Anthony posting a video about his dog, which kickstarts a conversation and then turns into a sale, right? And I think this is a big part that a lot of affiliates miss is it's like, you know, especially in the earlier stages where it's like, hey, I want to make a bunch of sales, so I'm going to talk about my product over and over and over and over again, and I'm going to talk about this opportunity
Mm-hmm.
versus like mixing in more of non-business related stuff because it's going to allow you to like cast a wider net and connect with more people, but it's also going to become it's more human, right? Not everybody is all business. Not everybody's like eats, sleeps, and breathes, you know, affiliate marketing, right? Like if you do, that's boring. um,
Yeah, that's a way to bore out your audience pretty quickly. I mean, unless if you're like in full on promo mode, yeah, you want to tackle all the different angles leading up to the product. But yeah, you have to throw in some type of humor, some type of lifestyle in there because, um, it does get boring and your audience will get bored too. I have the heat on in my office, a space heater, but with the flannel, it's going to get really hot. But yeah, you definitely have to give a reason why your audience wants to follow you. You're not just some robot that's going to say, "Buy my shit, do this way." It doesn't have to always be about business, and I think that was like another missing piece that I've missed all these months before joining Group Juice is that it doesn't always have to be business related. And I think what also helped me was opening up my marketing eye. For those of you that don't know, Thaddeus, who works alongside with Demi, he really talks about this a lot, where everything in life is content. You can spin it off to make it business related, and Flip and Nate do this really well. Also, if that was proper grammar, but but yeah, definitely. As you talk about things that you do in your life, it makes it more relatable to your audience, and they tend to, trust you and hold you to a higher regard because of it.
yeah, I think Thaddeus is on here right now. I'm here for the business. The business personal stuff is boring.
What's up,
Exactly.
Dad?
um, but yeah, that's a super important point. So like, the one thing I will ask is like with you, you set a plan. So do you kind of like plan out different topics of content that you're going to kind of go over, different like styles of content? Do you kind of cycle through different like phases or like rotations of content? Like, hey, I'm going to do a personal type of content today. I'm going to do a business type of content.
Hmm.
What does that look like per
Yeah,
se?
the inside Group Juice, Flip has a great training about the vagal content rotation strategy. Uh, where Monday is explaining about a vulnerability, Tuesday is announcing something, whether it be announcing something that's happening inside your group or like a promo, like we just did for Black Friday. G would be a gift of the soul to really drop massive value. So that could be on Wednesday. And then Thursday would be some type of form of entertainment or education about something. And then on the weekends, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday would be mostly like lifestyle. So that's kind of like how I rotate my content. And then there's like actually a bigger rotation as far as, okay, what type of content do you want to do it video wise? You want to do a short video where you just have, a bunch of captions where you don't say anything to spike up the amount of views, or do you actually have a longer video where you actually talk about something that's like can spread out into like spawn like into different topics? If I can say like one general thing that has three, four, five pieces to it, that's like content that I can do for the next 5 or 6 days.
Right.
And then if it's really good, I can actually stretch it for a week or two. I feel
Yeah.
like I have to work on doing more topics like that where I can stretch it for a week or two. But most of it nowadays is on the fly. But I definitely have to step up the batching phase. But definitely in the apps that I've had, there's actually one where they use an AI where you tell it what type of content that you want to produce on a given day, and then it'll just spit out a script for you. So if you want to do a vulnerability post, you can have the AI spit out a script for that explains the vulnerability. You still have to kind of go through it, edit it, make sure, and give it like your flair. So it's not so obvious that it's like a robot or an AI that was producing the said content. But I use like a bunch of different things. Mostly, if I want to do, if I can't think of like a headline to do, I just plug it into the AI, and they give me some ideas. or I lean on my community, which I've done, multiple times with you guys, with Thad and Deming, and they're able to say, "Oh, it's spin the copy, say it this way," and these are different suggestions.
Yeah, I think that's a really cool point too, because it's like you can get these skeletons for uh, ideas or skeletons for content, and like
Hmm.
one thing that really helped me too, um, and you'll probably know what I'm talking about because this is something Aaron did like years ago. He used to always do like this content ideas thing where it was like this huge board of content ideas. So like brain dumping. This is for like any of you guys who are struggling with like coming up with things to write content about, right? Like brain dump everything that you've done and everything that you've accomplished, been through, or like just make a massive list of everything that's went on in your business or even in your personal life. Um, and then you can start picking and pulling on those to be content, right? And the thing to think about too is like it doesn't have to be one of the biggest things I see all the time is like, hey, I didn't make 100K yet. I don't. Why would anybody want to see my wins? And like, why would anybody want to hear about anything I'm doing online? And you got to think about it from like a person who isn't aware of what online business is. Like you growing your group by 40 people, you gaining 100 followers, you posting your first TikTok video, right? Those are the type of things that they want to see. It's real. It's raw. It's like that's going to do a really good job at building relationships because it's like a documentation of your process, right? And a really cool one to think about too is like for Anthony, I'll let him explain, but like in his group, a lot of the people who've been in his group have probably seen him come along and develop and go on this journey. So the relationships are built over time, like very deep, because he's just been showing up in his business and sharing what's going on in his life, what's going on in his business, right? And it just gets even more powerful over longer periods of time because they're going to start seeing bigger and bigger changes, right? I think we mentioned this yesterday on the group juice call. It was like, if somebody came into my group a couple years ago and they saw me like writing blog posts and struggling and like not doing anything, like getting anywhere in my business, and now if they see me now where we're doing multiple six figures, it's like the person who came into my world and never started and they see me now, they're going to be like, hey, I want to do this. Like I've literally watched this guy go from here to here while I've been sitting on the sidelines. Like, hey, I kind of want to start. That's when it becomes like really powerful in your guys' business.
For sure. I mean, if people are not highlighting the fact of what are other people's wins, and Tyler does this really, really well. With this promo that we've had recently, Tyler was, just, hitting on, who was making high ticket sales and just really celebrating other people's wins. And that's pretty powerful stuff. And even like to your point, you said that if somebody didn't achieve the 100K mark, but there's other people in your community that have, people like you, Flip, Thad, Demi, and once you associate around those people that you're involved in their community, that puts you in a higher light as far as the people that you associate with and that you hang out with, because the plan, not to copy and paste their business, but to find out like what they're doing and how to implement it into your own and put your own spin on it. But you learn from these people that are in the trenches with you. A lot of coaches that are probably like in the seven figure mark, yeah, they've done really well online, but they just don't understand like what we're going through. They're not in the trenches with us.
Yep.
So I find that I learn more from people that are actually practicing what they preach. Where they're preaching organic strategies and methods. They're not right now going into like solo ads. I mean, they can, but as far they still do the methods that they're actually preaching.
That's a big one.
Yeah, and when you mentioned, how do I explain my journey inside my group? The one of the last lives that I did in my group, talking about the Black Friday juice deal. In that video, I had where I talked about my 6 month scorecard as far as when did I join Group Juice. It was March 30th of this year, 2022. A few days later in April, I launched my Facebook group and started getting members to come in. And then I highlighted, okay, at this point, I believe it was through June to July, I was actively posting reels and video content that I actually hit 77K reach on Facebook, which is fucking huge, and over like 40,000 engagements in that time period. And that doesn't really translate into sales directly, but it's what you do afterwards, how you nurture the people that are engaging in your content. That's what the real key is as well. And I was able to get multiple high ticket sales since that time.
Yeah, it brings up a really good point too, because I think I had somebody ask me a question yesterday. Says, I think their exact words is, "How have you guys done so well this year with a product so cheap?" And everything that Flip and myself do, can't necessarily speak for him because he's not here. It's a more of a uh, money later versus money now approach, right? Obviously, we're still doing well in our business, right? A lot of our clients are crushing it in their business, but everything we talk about is like, zooming out and like, and I mentioned this because, like, as Anthony just mentioned, he got a bunch of attention, he got a bunch of things, right? It doesn't necessarily translate into money right that second, but it does in the future, right? You're building this future pipeline of revenue, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, we got Brooke asked a question. What app is it? I think she's talking about the AI.
Yeah, there's actually two different ones that I was actually testing out. One of them is called Gary AI. Um, Jamie Gardner mentioned it in one of the SAA calls, and Jacob was actually curious about it. So I looked into that, and there's a lot of different things that you can do with Gary AI. As far as do you want to create a post? Do you want to create an email? But captions is the app that I use most often because it has a teleprompter. It also has an AI feature where it can write a script for you to edit, and captions is another way to download a transcript. So usually what I do is I download it to like a Google Drive doc where I house all of my posts that I've ever made. And from there, I can kind of like edit it to say, I can space it out. This is what I want to say, and kind of like repurpose it, change a few words around, and then slap a photo once I post it inside my group. So the two apps that I use most often, I should actually say three. When I do video, I use Snapchat. Snapchat, I feel, has a nice, good quality, crisp video. So I do a few clips of it, even if it's like several 5 second clips. I can save it as one video, and then further edit it if I want to do fancy captions or text templates in CapCut and captions.
So that's
Again,
cool.
that's what
You,
I
you
use to upload to TikTok and Facebook Reels.
so you're creating most of your content in Snapchat.
Yeah, and there was a suggestion that you and Flip said, because I think somebody was saying that the video quality, was lacking, and you kind of found a back door, like another alternative.
And I think you can download without the watermark, right? Like, there is no watermark with Snapchat videos.
That's correct. Yeah. There's another app. It's called TickSave, but that one you have to pay for,
Yeah.
and that'll also get rid of the watermark. So basically, what I'm trying to say is I've actually bought a few different things where now I only use like a handful of them. But there's free versions, and then there's other apps where you have to pay for it. So I've been testing a lot of different things out, and this is what I would say in my groups. These are the tools in my toolbox, so to speak, that I'm using. This is what has been working for me. This is what I feel more comfortable with. So right now, I would say I would do my videos in Snapchat, download them to my phone, further edit them in CapCut or captions, and then post it to my social media platforms. If I really want to lean more so on the teleprompter, I'll use captions first, and I can record from there. And they have their own style of how the captions work, but you can still download it to your phone and then upload it to CapCut in order to get like all those fancy stickers that are like, eye popping, like, oh my God, wow. So that's pretty much like my method to the madness. So to answer your question, Brooke, I know my answer was long winded. I recommend using Snapchat, captions, and CapCut. CapCut and Snapchat obviously are free. Captions is a paid app with a free trial.
I think this is a really important one too. Keisha brings this up. I feel like I've been talking too much shit. Um, there's a fooker. Yes, it definitely is overwhelming. We talk about this quite a bit inside of Group Juice as well, like on the weekly calls. Is it's hard not to get caught up in everything else going on. Me, I personally like block a lot of people. I remove a lot of people from my feeds, not because I'm like mad at somebody else and the way that they operate their business, but I realize what it does for me in my personal headspace. Like if I'm constantly seeing like negative or like everybody just like doing this digital dick measuring where their thing's better than everybody else, and like throwing stones, I try my best to remove it from my feeds because it eventually will change the way that I operate my business and the
Hmm.
way that I show up in my content for my audience, right? Because naturally, if I'm consuming a lot of content like that, it's going to end up changing the way that I create content, right? Because I'm going to feel like I need to say something or I need to make it a point or anything like that. Um, and there is ways to be polarizing in your business without like explicitly like throwing stones and like there's benefits to drawing lines in the sand about what it
Hmm.
is you stand for and what you don't stand for. But that doesn't mean you got to necessarily go out there and be like, "Hey, X thing is shit, and you should buy my thing instead." It's more of like, "Hey, this is the process I use, and this is how it's worked for me." And obviously, if you're just getting started and it isn't like working for you yet, specifically, or anybody who's watching this, is would be as Anthony mentioned, leveraging community, like who it is working for, right?
Hmm.
Because then it also like it's guilt by association type thing, right? It allows you to level up by default because you're in the crowd of those people that are accomplishing those things.
Yeah, for sure. And I like what you said about, trying to get rid of all that negativity or stone throwing from your feed. Because while that content, whatever they're putting out there, is meant to, shift your beliefs, by you reading it, you want to be associated. You don't want to read much of that stuff because maybe directly or indirectly, it'll shift your beliefs and question yourself, is what I'm doing actually the right way to go? I had somebody recently that joined my group, and this person, I'm not going to mention names, but she was pretty much like bashing my process. She never told me how she does it in her business, so she's kind of like gatekeeping, which I don't believe in gatekeeping, a lot of information. It's one thing to have your own secret source, that's fine. But in order to, not say what you do and how you do it, but to bash my processes because she felt that, oh, I've been in this space for over a year and a half now, and my numbers and my engagement is low and stuff like that. She's trying to understand like the process. And the point that I was trying to make to her, and I believe you mentioned this several times in your trainings, Nate, that you don't need to have thousands and thousands of followers in your audience to make sales. You were able to make sales in a group of like 40 or 43 people. Granted, my group is about 55, 57 members, but I'm still able to make sales from it.
Yep.
There are a lot of other people that, get more group members that come in, which is awesome. But it's not impossible to make high ticket sales when you have a short audience group.
Yeah, and I think one of the biggest disconnects for a lot is like it comes down to the type of content that's used to build your ecosystems, right? Or your communities or your followers as a whole, right? If let's say for example someone has a YouTube channel and they're creating content about remote jobs or PayPal money, and like naturally they're going to build these massive audiences of people, hundreds of thousands of subscribers. um, the bulk of their money is going to end up coming from ad revenue because they are getting a lot of views. But when it comes to actually pivoting and selling them some type of high ticket product or investment, uh, the message behind that is like you've basically built this audience that wants quick and easy money. And then when they find out they have to invest money to build a business or do something, it's extremely difficult in my opinion, right? Like as Anthony just mentioned, it's like the premise of our entire business is more of a targeted quality over quantity approach. And
Mm-hmm.
then the underlying benefit to that is like, especially when you start mixing in short form video content, you have the ability to like go viral for the right shit, right? So you could literally, you could have a video that performs really well, but it's for the right things. So the people who end up coming into your world are the actual right people. And I don't mean like there's right and wrong people. I mean like the people you'd actually like to be working with, the people that would be more inclined to buy your products, right? And that's going to be a key metric to turning small number of followers and leads and like uh, followings into big paydays, right? A good real time example of this, and I like to mention it, he still might be on here, but like it's Thad and Demi, right? They launched their Triple C's masterclass and they've blown it out of the water, right? And they're like as a whole, like their groups are relatively like I think they might still both be under 1,000 members in their groups, right? Probably both under 5K followers on TikTok, and they're killing it, right? They're pumping out huge numbers in their business, but it's because all their content is extremely targeted, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's for a specific type of person. Um, and that's also like we did an interview with Thaddeus, and he mentioned that as well. Is he used to have a TikTok with over 100K followers on it, right? And he's like he literally threw it in the trash to start over because he wanted to get hyper targeted with this content.
Yeah.
Um, so I think that's a really big benefit in figuring out what type of business everybody wants to run, right? Because you do have the two sides to the coin. You could do a high volume, low conversion rate um, type of business, or you could do like kind of what we do and what we talk about all the time is more of a targeted, lower volume, lower quantity of people. Uh, but it's a lot easier to close those sales, in my opinion, right?
Mm-hmm. You can't please everybody. You know, it's hard to please 100 people than let's say 10 people that are ready to buy whatever you have. Because if they're hyper targeted, they know what you're all about, then the closing process should be much smoother. And that's one thing that I tell a lot of people. You know, once you have content that's really focused on attracting the right people, and then whoever is actively following you from that content or engaging on it, those are the type of people that you want to talk to and show up in your DMs or inside your ecosystem, because those are the people that you want to talk to because they actually took the time to say that I like this, I'm following you because of this content. You just want to see like where they're at in their life or in their business if they started already. And those are the type of people that I want to have a conversation with because they have genuine interests and intrigue in what I'm doing.
Yeah, it can become extremely low pressure too, like the actual sales process from content consumption to close.
Hmm.
Um, it's a lot easier. Um,
And when people still, I still get people that pitch me, and I'm sure people do it to you as well, Nate. But depending on my mood for the day, like if I feel somebody's like coming across, pitching to me in the first message, I'll be like, dude, like, does this strategy actually work? it's like a guy trying to pick up a girl and using like a sleazy like pickup line. Doesn't really actually, work at all. And then I try to school them and kill them with kindness to say that, you really need, to step up your, you know, DM sales messaging game in order to actually get ahead. Because I can tell you right now, the way you just came at me is does not really, work. How are you gonna, establish like a relationship if you don't know what I'm doing, what I need in my business, what I'm struggling with, and you're already pitching to me in the in the first message. It's like going out on a date on a blind date with somebody and asking them to marry you on the first date. It's like too heavy. That's
Yep.
why it's like I cringe whenever my fiance and her friend they watch 90 Day Fiance or uh, Love Is Blind or whatever. It's like, how do you really know that you're ready for marriage with this person if you don't know them, like their ins and outs and their pain points? I mean, it's like there's like a real like correlation. I think Aaron and his partner back in the TSC days really hammered this really well, which I actually like. That there's a definite correlation between business and how you create relationships with people when people go out on dates with other people. It's like you don't want to come off too strong, but you don't
Right.
want to be in the friend zone because once you're in the friend zone for too long, there's no coming out of it.
Right.
And I think that's when you have to find out what skill you have to learn skills to pivot. Okay, enough of the friendship conversation. Let's talk business. How do you segue into the business part of that conversation or that relationship?
So that's a really good example too, because it's like get stuck in the friend zone. It's hard to make an offer, right?
Hmm.
And then if you're too aggressive, it's like they're not going to want to ever talk again.
It's like
Um,
asking a friend, for money. Hey, I'm kind of short, or I need money to pay my bills. Like, it's like an awkward thing. Like when you're asking a friend or a family member to say, "Hey, could you loan me some money to pay like my monthly bill or to buy something to eat?" Like, the more friendlier you are and the more you stay there, it's harder to ask for, an offer.
right. Um, if you guys have any other questions, we can drop them for Anthony. Otherwise, we can start wrapping up. I will. I do know you have a group, Anthony. So, and
Hmm.
I will go up and I'll tag your group above this post. If you kind of want to share a little bit about like what you do in your group, maybe some trainings you have in your group, so that way we can kind of entice some people to come into your world, kind of get to rock with Anthony a bit more. I'll let him share a bit about his community. Um,
Sure. Thank you, Nate. So basically, my group is called Going from Zero to Hero in Affiliate Marketing with Anthony. And it's mainly, I created the group to help people get their first high ticket sale or their next high ticket sale. And I explain a little bit about my journey where I didn't find success in paid ads and solo ads, but I want to help people get their first big win.
right,
And some of the most recent trainings that I've done is what I pretty much spoke about before was, what my updated daily method of operations are. And even yesterday during the coaching uh, live coaching yesterday in group juice was, somebody asked, I forget who the person's name was, like what should my daily structure be? So here's a really good example of how you can find inspiration from anywhere. And there's like two ways, and you and Flip mentioned there's two ways of doing it. You can do it from the perspective of somebody that's actually working full time at their 9 to 5 job, like me, or if you want to go at it as a full time affiliate where you don't have a job or a career. So in my content or in my video that I dropped yesterday, right after that live call during my lunch hour, I was actually walking around Manhattan and mentioning something along the lines of like the headline was somebody asked me, what is my day looking like if I want to become an affiliate marketer, if I want to have an affiliate marketing business on social media, and I would say that it depends. Are you working full time or you don't have a job? So I can only speak on, from the viewpoint of maintaining a job because this is what I do. And this is how I've closed sales. So that's one of the trainings that I have inside of my Facebook group where I talk about what I do every day. I spoke about the 30-foot view as far as understanding how the three main pillars of affiliate marketing work between traffic source, the sales process, and presenting the offer, because I feel that's very important. I feel like that's what is missing when people want to just copy and paste somebody else's business. They don't understand the mechanics of how one area flows into another. So I have a training on that. And yeah, basically a quick start guide as far as what programs that I've been involved in, whether it's high ticket, low ticket, what they can do for you based on what you're looking for, what your goals are, and how to get started. So you'll find all that inside of my Facebook group.
Man, it's killing it on the trainings. Heck yeah. Awesome, Anthony. Well, I appreciate you jumping on with us. I will tag his group above. If you guys are also watching this replay inside of Kajabi, there will be a link for Anthony's group. Jump in, check out some of his trainings. Anthony posts content very consistently, has a very cool nuance to think about, right? He's working a full-time job, and I know that's a big struggle for a lot of people. How do I post content consistently while being full-time employed? So yeah.
Thanks a lot, Nate. It's a pleasure having me.
Heck yeah, my man. All right. Well, we'll catch you guys next time. We'll be back next week. Next Wednesday, we'll be doing another interview with Jamie, I think. Hopefully.
Oh boy.
Awesome, you guys.
Alrighty. Take care.